Thanks for stopping by the channel. As always, make sure you're subscribed. You can do that by hitting the subscribe button down there or looking at the little Minnesota Black Robe Regiment icon down on the bottom of your screen. Fancy, I know. Hit the bell icon for notifications, and then like, comment, and share. So, like, I have to do this. I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't enjoy this. I know that I laugh during my videos and whatnot, because sometimes laughing is better than crying, and laughing is also better than throwing things through the window of what I have affectionately referred to now as my studio. But I don't enjoy this. I honestly don't go around looking for reasons to be upset. I really don't. But as a friend said to me the other day, they just keep giving you content. Like, I can't help it. They just keep giving me content. So I want to address in the context of this video, and I'm going to try and not go on for too long, but I want to address Owatonna's school board meeting from last week, last Monday. So let's see here. What day would that have been? Well, here I can look real quick. It would have been the 12th of July. And so today is so it's 10 days later. It's the 22nd as I shoot this video. And it'll be the 22nd when this video comes out. I showed up as I told the citizens group there that I would. I showed up with camera. This is my gimmick now, by the way. I literally do this because there are people who say, I can hear you when you drink. So now I just do it to rub it in. So I showed up because, well, I want people to be inspired to show up to these things. And lo and behold, Sebring, the school board chair of the Owatonna Public School Board, had some opening comments that he made after the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. But what I'm going to do first, before I play his comments for you, is I want to address this. This is from the First Amendment, right? Or this is the First Amendment. The First Amendment guarantees freedoms concerning religion, expression, assembly, and the right to petition. It forbids Congress from both promoting one religion over others and also restricting an individual's religious practices. It guarantees freedom of expression by prohibiting Congress from restricting the press or the rights of individuals to speak freely. It also guarantees the right of citizens to assemble peaceably and to petition their government. Now, here's the actual reading of the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Okay, I recently read that out in a commentary I did about Albert Lee's school board meeting just Monday night on the 19th. What a lot of people have said is that, well, school boards they're not the same as what is addressed in the First Amendment, but that's patently false. It's patently untrue. And as I mentioned in the video about Albert Lee's school board meeting on Monday night, the 14th Amendment says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now, remember, this says the state, but in this situation, what we have to understand is that this now is a blanket application to any, and I hate to use this terminology, to any government entity. There again, remember, we the people are the government. That's us. So these public servants are held under the restrictions placed on them by the First Amendment. And the 14th Amendment ratifies that, if you will, and says, no, you don't get to say, well, that's just for the federal government. No, it is for all public servants. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to play the opening comments of the chair, Mark Sebring, and we're going to have a little conversation about that. Please listen very carefully to this. Listen very carefully.
Before we begin our meeting, just a few items, housekeeping items to address before we start our meeting. First, these meetings are recorded as a courtesy to the community. And unfortunately, the recording of our most recent meeting experienced a glitch. We apologize for the inconvenience, and we're doing our best to prevent it from happening again.
I just want to say, great. Thanks for addressing that, Mark. But that's 2 meetings in a row where you had the same glitches? Two meetings? Because the meeting before the meeting that I first went to where you had the glitch also had a glitch. And only 9 minutes of that got put out. So you're going to have to color me skeptical, okay? But go ahead, Mark, continue.
Second item is the issue of meeting decorum. Board meetings are to be conducted in an orderly fashion where the business of the board is carried out in a public setting. Public input is available during public forum. And as chair, I respectfully request that the public refrain from interruptions during tonight's meeting.
Mr. Sebring, as chair of the board of the Owatonna Public Schools School Board, you are an elected servant. You, sir, have a duty to not only provide a public forum and this belittling, we provide the video as a courtesy to you. We're not required. You know what? By law, you may not be required to. But the petty, pedantic little statement of we're not required to, it's a courtesy, says so much about your mentality. Mark Sebring, you're worse than bad. You're dangerous because you come off as this smarmy, smooth, charming, I'm just here to be, like, as you said to me after the very first meeting I was at, you're just a centrist. And like, and as I responded to you, then I guess you're going to be in the middle getting crap from everyone because centrist, I have no room for centrist. I don't like people who sit in the middle and try and play both sides. You have a duty to represent the citizens of your community as they want you to represent them. But that aside, this well-written statement, it's well-written, but it says so much about what's wrong. And here's why. Because you give people 3 minutes, you limit ultimately who's going to speak and for how long, which, you don't want people coming in there and taking up 4.5 hours of public comments. But I think that's going to have to change pretty soon because the people of your community are getting pretty upset. So here's what I know. You say that no one's going to be allowed, or you respectfully request that people refrain from making comments or speaking out during the regular meeting because it's to conduct the business of the board in public. First of all, it's required by law. Open meeting laws in the state of Minnesota say you don't have a choice. What's happening is you're not used to what's happening. And this is what I mean by that. You're not used to the public being there and pushing on you about how you behave as a school board. You don't like it because this is probably the first time in the history of your tenure as the board chair and even as a board member, and probably for any of those board members where anybody has ever shown up and raised questions about the decisions you're making. And so now you've had 3 school board meetings in a row, 2 of which have gotten increasingly more well attended. The first one I was at was 27 or so people. The second one was over 30. It was standing room only. You had people from both sides of the issue, a couple that spoke in favor of the teaching of critical theory, and then a preponderance of people who spoke against it, as well as a preponderance of people who were there that were encouraging the people that were speaking against it. And subsequent to that meeting, as everybody that's part of that citizens group looked around and sees that there's standing room only and people are overflowing out into the halls and down onto the stairs and whatnot, they're saying, we need a change of venue. And I know this for a fact. I have the emails, Mr. Sebring, Chair. I have the emails that they sent you. And if anybody wants them, let me know. I'll make sure that they're out there for people to see. I have the emails where they request a change of venue. And I got your first response to the very first email, which was, thank you for sending an email. And I know for a fact that these emails have gone to every board member and to Elstead. I know for a fact that they have. And I also got your further responses to those emails where people are demanding a change of venue, and your responses, and I'm going to take all of those responses and I'm going to put them all into one and paraphrase it. Basically, thank you for giving us your opinion. We'll take into consideration, but right now we're just going to monitor the situation and see what's going to happen. And I also know for a fact that another email was sent in response to that response from you saying, other than the obvious reason, what reason would there be to not change it? And that was a very pointed email from that individual, and I love it because and she gave you until basically the night of Wednesday, 7/21/2021 to respond to her, and you failed to respond to her. And I know for a fact that you haven't responded to her as of the time that I'm shooting this video today because you don't want to. And here's the issue. As I read in the First Amendment, the people have a right to a public redress of their grievances. And that doesn't just mean during the public forum where you so graciously allow people to speak for 3 minutes. Because they're not redressing their grievances. They're trying to get some interaction. And as a board, as a policy of the board, no one from the board is allowed to interact during that. You won't take questions. So even if a question is answered, you won't answer it. You won't field any questions. And there again, you hear this, you hear all of this stuff, but then you tell the people that they're not allowed to ask questions during the regular board meeting because you're just doing that to conduct business in front of them. No, it's a law that you have to follow. And then you respond to emails from the constituency, from the government, from the we the people, with these pat blanket answers of thank you for showing us your concern. We'll take it under consideration. The more you push against this, the more people are going to show up. That citizens group is going to see to it that there's 50, 60, 70 people there. You had better accommodate them. This is ridiculous. Nobody there is dangerous to you. Nobody there is going to threaten you. Nobody there wants any harm to come to you, but they want you to start answering questions, and you're not doing it. You're not allowing them to ask questions. And when they do, you don't answer. You won't let them talk during the regular meeting. There's no redress of grievances. None. They're not getting their grievances redressed. And telling people to contact you by email is not a public redress of grievances. That's not what it is. There's no public redress of grievances in an email until they make those emails public. Like, it's sneaky, it's underhanded, and it indicates just how far you have fallen as a public servant, sir. You need to resign from the chair position and from the board and vacate and let somebody else come in who's actually going to represent the people of that school district. In many ways, what happened in Albert Lee on Monday night was bad. But what you're doing is worse. It's even worse. Because you're smarmy and smooth and slick about it. You come off as this very calm and control, very smooth person. But what you are is dangerous. Because you don't address grievances. You're not addressing these grievances. People are asking to be heard and you're hearing them, but you're not listening. You're not listening. Where's the action? You said that you were going to form a town hall. That town hall should have happened already. That town hall should have been a openly public meeting, and it should have been done already. Where is it? Where's the conversation about it? Why hasn't it come up on the agenda? And you promised Angie on the last meeting in June, you promised her it would happen, and it hasn't happened yet. You're not responding to emails with why you're not going to change the venue, and you're not responding with, yes, let's change the venue. You don't like being challenged. You're no better than Elstead. You're a power-hungry little tyrant, Mr. Sebring. And people are like, it's just a school board. But it controls what's going on with the children in the community for those parents who continue to choose to put their kids in the Owatonna public schools. Here's the thing, and I don't care if you're one of those people that's pro-critical theory being taught in the schools, if you're one of those people that's pro-intersectionality being taught in the schools, if you're one of those people that's pro-comprehensive sex education being taught in the schools, that's fine, but you should be equally upset about how the school board and the school administration are treating the people who are asking questions and getting the runaround. Because if they could do that to them, they could do it to anybody. There's no accountability. None. There's no accountability. Period. Well, the videos had technical difficulties. So what? I operate with a computer that's over 12 years old. If I can do this, you can. Granted, my videos aren't perfect, but if I can do this, you had better be able to find a tech person with all the freaking money that your school district has who doesn't have glitch issues. And forgive me if I don't believe it. I'm a cynic when it comes to public servants. This crap has to stop. You need to change the venue, because that place is going to be full. And there again, it's not a threat. It's a promise that the public is outraged. They're outraged about the things that Elstead has said. That man called the people of Owatonna racists. I guarantee you people are going to show up and they're going to want to talk about that. And they have a right and a liberty to do that. It's a public redress of grievances. They have the liberty to do that, and you don't have the liberty to shut them down. They have a liberty to ask you questions. They have a liberty to know what's going on. They have a liberty to publicly speak to these things, not just during the public forum where you don't have to answer questions. Wake up, Owatonna. Wake up, Minnesota. Wake up, we the people. This is how your public servants treat you, and it's going to get worse if you don't demand that they start serving you as your servants. These people have control over taxation in your school district. Sure, you get to vote, but then again, Mr. Elstead tried to help draft legislation that would even take away your ability to vote on operating levies. Let that sink in. This guy's in bed with Governor Walz. He's buddies with him. That should tell you everything you need to know for those of you that are constitutionally minded Americans. Regardless of your ethnicity, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, and any mix thereof, if you're constitutionally minded, Elstead is in bed with Walz. And he tried to get it so that schools over a certain size didn't have to get permission to pass an operating levy. Let that sink in. That's how bad this school district is. They're not allowing a public redress of grievances, because a public redress of grievances means that they peaceably assemble, and that's what I'm calling for. Peaceable assembly. Peaceable assembly. I'm not talking about looting or rioting, breaking windows, burning anything down in mostly peaceful protests. I'm not talking about taking to the streets and throwing things around. I'm not talking about blocking traffic. I'm talking about a peaceable assembly, which is our constitutional liberty here in the United States, protected by the Constitution and her amendments, for all people at every level of public sector. Period. And Mr. Sebring, you have forgotten that, because I can tell you for a fact, I know that people are asking questions and they're not getting any answers from you. You're getting pat, blasé answers of, thank you, we'll take it under consideration, we're going to observe. How much more do you need to observe that people are there and they want to be heard? And you promised it and you haven't fulfilled it. And you swore an oath to make sure that people had a public redress of grievances, and you will not do it. I'm calling on the citizens of Owatonna to stand up and show up and demand a change of venue. You have less than a month before the next meeting to make sure that that happens, Mr. Sebring. And it's going to look really bad when there's 70, 80, 100 people standing there trying to get into the building to hear you and to be heard, and they can't get in because you had an opportunity at the request of we the people of Owatonna to make plans ahead of time to make it happen, and have said, no, we're not going to. Was that the decision of the whole board? Did the whole board decide that? Or did the superintendent and you decide that? Or did you have a private conversation with each one of the people on the board to determine that? And was a general consensus that, oh, wait a minute, if you made that decision unilaterally or at the behest of the superintendent, we have a problem. So did you just make that decision by yourself without consulting anybody on the board? Because if you did, we have a problem. No matter what, you've got a problem here. You've got a problem. And when you tread on the constitutional liberties, when you infringe upon the constitutional liberties of we the people, of any citizen, that qualified immunity that you have, when you violate the constitutional rights of a citizen, that qualified immunity you have is stripped from you, sir. Stripped from you by law. By law. And every single board member needs to understand that when you tread on the constitutional liberties enshrined, ensconced, embedded in our Constitution, not to check the people, but to check you, when you tread on those constitutional liberties, sir, when you violate those constitutional liberties, qualified immunity is gone. You need to be aware of that. I don't think people understand that every single person in the public sector, elected or appointed, has qualified immunity until they tread on the constitutional rights of people. And that is what you're doing. You're dangerously close to it. You need to fix this and make room so people can all be in that room. And don't say, well, we put it out there. It doesn't matter, because you said that's a courtesy. This group is not going away. They're not going to go away. Trust me, they are not going away. And they're getting bigger. They're swelling in ranks. And they will demand action. Peaceably, civilly, and responsibly. But civil disobedience is a reality, and it is a right of the people. And the more you try to push them away, and the more you try to refrain from answering, the more likely it is you will have to deal with their civil disobedience in the future. You're treading on them. For those of you watching, take action. Rise up at your local level. School boards, city councils, county commissions, county planning and zoning committees, library committees, whatever, library boards, whatever it is. It's time that these people tremble that we the people are paying attention, because it's been far too long that they have gone without observation. And they have lost touch with who they serve. Until next time, sic semper tyrannis.
Please stand by.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at